In today's video, I will discuss how Nofap will ruin your life without wasting any time. Let's dive into it. Now, onto the topic of Nofap. I find the whole movement a bit cheesy. There are no superpowers. I simply believe that you're messed up, and when you begin Nofap, you revert back to being a regular human being. There are no superpowers. You just feel better relative to how you were because it messes up your life entirely. Fapping wrecks your motivation, your sexual energy, your zest for life. Essentially, as a man, you're depleting yourself of your vitality. Now, I'm not delving too deeply into spirituality, but I genuinely think that when you masturbate excessively and ejaculate daily, you're signaling to your brain that you're impregnating women every single day. Consequently, there's no drive for you to better yourself because your brain assumes this guy is passing on his seed every single day. He doesn't need to become stronger, smarter, or improve himself because he's already succeeding at life. The reason why I find Nofap so cheesy is because it centers around the concept of the streak, counting the days since you last masturbated. I've attempted numerous streaks, and I've failed. Now, I'm assuming that 99% of you aren't alcoholics. Are you counting the days since you last drank alcohol? No, because you don't identify as an alcoholic. If you're counting the days since you last masturbated, that means you're anticipating resetting the streak. But if you simply change your identity and say, I don't masturbate anymore, you don't need a streak because you're committing to it for life. This is why Nofap is inherently flawed, because many people are fixated on their streaks. It's been 3 days, it's been 4 days, it's been 5 days, they say, just waiting for the day when they have to reset the counter. It becomes a negative cycle of restarting the streak, building it up a little, and then starting over from scratch. Whereas, if you can tell yourself, I just don't watch porn anymore, and truly believe that it's not helping you in life or getting you where you want to be, that's when you can undergo an identity shift. Porn is wrecking your sex drive and your ability to perform, especially when you're with a woman for the first time. It also makes you super socially awkward. I truly believe that my shyness when I was young was because I was masturbating all the time. You know how much guilt and shame come with it? Once you're done, you carry that feeling with you for ages. Ever had to go to the supermarket right after? You feel like everyone can tell, and vice versa when you haven't done it in ages. I promise, you walk down the street with a different kind of confidence. You feel like a man, not some kid enslaved to desires, unable to control his actions. You need to mature in your head and realize you don't need it in your life. There's literally no benefit besides that fleeting pleasure. One thing I learned from stoicism that helped me kick this habit is to look at things objectively and stop being so emotional about it. When you objectively look at porn and masturbating, you realize how pointless it is. Porn is just pixels on a screen. Masturbating is just your hand moving up and down, followed by a brief moment of pleasure. Then it's all downhill. You're left with guilt, shame, so what's the point? I know you've seen tons of videos like this before, and just telling you to stop and grow up, but this isn't gonna cut it. So, what can you do? First, figure out why you watch it in the first place, how you end up in that situation, especially when you know you're on Nofap and supposed to have a streak. Understand that your brain is cunning. It'll trick you into getting what it wants. That's the cycle I used to go through, picking up my phone, telling myself I'll only check Instagram for specific content, but then ending up on the Explore page, clicking on models, and getting sucked into a loop. Your brain will convince you that just peeking won't lead to the full act. But in my experience, that never happens. Peeking isn't an option. You need to set higher standards for yourself. Avoiding even a peek is crucial, and to do that, staying off social media is key because it's often the gateway to relapse. Their algorithms tailor content to your preferences, leading you back to harmful patterns. Cut down on social media time and recognize that your brain's urging you to browse, hoping you'll stumble upon triggering content. Now, how do you avoid these triggers altogether? Stay busy, establish a routine, and fill your day with activities. Most of the time I've relapsed. I was alone in my room, with little resistance between me and my phone or computer, so change your environment to avoid temptation. Get out, hit the gym, work in a cafe, spend time with friends, do anything to avoid isolation in your room, where relapses are more likely. It's tough, but leaving your bedroom door open so family can see you might help maintain accountability. One thing's for sure, you need to introduce barriers between yourself and pornography. Without them, you'll never break the cycle. And here's another truth, the urges will never vanish. As a man, you have natural sexual energy and desires. And if you don't have a partner readily available, the easiest option is to turn to your phone and do it yourself. The urge will always be there, and it's up to you to resist it. Many suggest tactics like taking cold showers or going for a run when the urge hits. But let's be real, when those cravings kick in, reasoning with your brain isn't effective. Now, you might not like hearing this, but meditation is your best bet. Stepping back and giving yourself a few minutes to think can make all the difference. Is it worth resetting your streak for a fleeting moment of pleasure? The guilt, shame, and pain that follow aren't worth it. Shift your identity. Don't try to resist watching porn. Just don't watch it. The beauty of abstaining is that your sexual energy increases, but the only way to satisfy it is by improving yourself. As you grow, you'll naturally attract real-life experiences, and by then, you'll have regained sensitivity and confidence. That's when you'll truly perform at your best. I find it cheesy when guys online talk about superpowers and women staring at them on Nofap. That's not reality. Quitting is just the first step. Then you shift your identity and replace that habit with productive pursuits. Hit the gym, start a business, create content, meditate, and engage in self-improvement habits to build yourself into a mature man who isn't controlled by his desires, emotions, or porn consumption. Now, let's talk about mental masturbation. It's diving deep into self-improvement content, Nofap timelines, and superpowers. Instead of endlessly consuming this content, experience it for yourself. Stop watching Nofap videos and start living the lifestyle. It's time to evolve into a man who no longer cares about Nofap, who improves himself to attract real-life connections, shed the embarrassment and identity tied to porn consumption. I used to be that person, but I've moved past it, and it feels incredible. Sure, I still get urges, but through meditation and mindfulness, I've realized I don't need that stuff. It's childish and unnecessary. If you want a guide that helped me and thousands of men to quit porn in 7 days, click the link in the description. And if you found value in this video, don't forget to subscribe.